Fred Smith and Productivity by Tyler Sovey and Trey Olson. Productivity is essential to higher output and income. Achieving high productivity requires knowing how to handle many variables, such as analyzing the amount of services to render or products to make, knowing how to allocate resources efficiently to high or low barriers to entry markets, and using skillful time management. Combine all of these with a skilled entrepreneur, and new products or processes will be made that enhance economic progress. One such entrepreneur was Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx. Fred Smith's new approach to his industry was a successful way to enhance productivity. As can be seen through the Christian perspective on productivity, Fred Smith's business choices and decisions, the market he entered, the industry he changed, possible productivity concerns or drawbacks, and the hard numbers representing his plans.
Learning about concepts like productivity and entrepreneurs such as Fred Smith may not seem relevant to our spiritual walks, but like many things we learn throughout our lives, it actually is. Genesis 1:28 says that God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." This was a task given by God to humanity and could not simply be done. It had to be done efficiently and productively, or else we would fail to do it at all. This goes with everything we do in our lives. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says that, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God." No matter what we are doing, whether it be related to business, sports, or music, we should do it productively for the glory of God, using our God-given gifts to allocate our skills, manage our time, and focus on the right priorities so that whatever we're doing, we can do it to the best of our ability.
Fred Smith studied business at Yale University from 1962 to 1966. He proposed his company idea consisting of overnight delivery while plans were not busy, and a transportation system with a central junction connected trucks and planes was originally proposed in a business strategy paper which only received a C. Fred Smith saw ahead and realized that computers were going to take over people's lives, and if that was going to happen, fast repair would be needed. In order for this fast repair to happen, express time sensitive delivery was necessary to ship computer parts in little to no time. Fred Smith is a shining example of entrepreneurship, a key to economic prosperity. Despite only receiving a C on his idea, he made it happen and created a new production process that spearheaded the new transportation industry. Today, FedEx is still one of the leading shipping companies and most recognizable brands in the country.
Markets such as computer technology and medical supplies are what spawned Smith's idea. At the time, transportation went mostly through passenger air travel, leading to long and unreliable wait times for packages. Smith saw into the future from a world where the first real computer was 10 years out to a world that relied completely on computer and medical technology, and knew that the current type of transportation would be unacceptable. He came up with an idea that consisted of overnight delivery and a central hub connecting all air and ground travel routes that would grant express delivery to all types of markets. Attempting to enter the arena of these markets would not be difficult, but it would be risky. There was very little competition due to many of the markets barely even existing at the time, but due to their young nature, one could not be sure if they would ever actually grow. Fred Smith utilized the economic key of innovation in his new delivery idea to eventually grant him the key of productivity, showing that he truly was an excellent and forward-thinking entrepreneur.
Smith also changed the industry of delivery. Previously, cross-country delivery relied on passenger air travel, so destinations, times, and space were limited. There was not a lot of competition, but the barriers to entry were still high due to the buy-in of trucks or planes. The two changes of Smith's plan were overnight delivery and a central hub for his services. Smith explained it as looking inefficient when examining a delivery from Detroit to Minneapolis via the junction in Memphis, but overall efficient when looking at the networks as a whole. Overnight deliveries could also take advantage of the already existing passenger plane system, as planes would typically be less filled at night and allow more room for extra packages. FedEx was also a leader in the fight for deregulation of air traffic cargo, which dramatically helped in the growth of their business and their productivity through being able to send more packages.
Looking back and knowing that FedEx would eventually succeed, it is easy to think that this idea is perfect. However, there are some concerns that Smith had to overcome. First of all, when his idea was first introduced in his class paper at Yale, he only received an average grade due to the idea being improbable. He received similar feedback from a lot of different people who did not see ahead the way he did and did not realize the need for express delivery. Despite their reasons for early concern, it was hard for Smith to start up his idea. Without his connections, he would likely have crashed and burned if he was lucky enough to even get off the ground. His industry and market were both young, and if he had guessed incorrectly and they failed to grow, he would have been left in the dust after spending the high cost of entry to buy the trucks, planes, and central hub he needed. The two main points of Smith's idea were overnight delivery and a central hub for delivery routes. This central hub was a big stopping point, as it could seem very inefficient. Delivering a package from Detroit to Minneapolis while going through Memphis seems inefficient on its own, since Memphis is completely the other direction. But when you look at the big picture and notice every single delivery going through Memphis, it actually seems much more productive overall.
Supply and demand can be used to easily analyze the effectiveness of Smith's ideas. The demand and supply for time-sensitive packages were low when Smith came up with this idea, but he was able to see ahead and notice that increased productivity would be absolutely necessary. As computers and other technology grew, more of these deliveries were needed, and therefore the demand increased, just in time for Smith to come in and provide the means to fill that demand. Marginal cost is the additional cost required to produce one more unit or render one more service. For example, the cost required to send 5 packages instead of 4. This is important to tell how many packages should be sent to maximize profits. The graph on this slide, for example, shows that FedEx must send about 4,500 ground packages in order to make enough money to cover for the costs. Smith realized this and made sure he did not overextend himself until he could grow his company. The break-even point is the exact point in time where a business is actually making enough money and revenue to cover its costs. The point in the graph on the slide where the lines cross is that point. FedEx did not make a profit until July 1975, nearly 2 years after it was founded. Smith knew that he would not make enough profit right away and planned accordingly in order to last long enough to make one. Demand and supply for a quick fix shipping industry was low at the time, but with the increase in technology advances, such as computers, demand for this industry would later increase. Smith knew the impact that technological advances were going to have on this industry and knew that he could benefit by getting into this market.
Fred Smith utilized the economic keys of innovation, entrepreneurship, and productivity. He innovated the transportation industry through creating the opportunity for express delivery with overnight flights and his central hub, started his business himself, and fought through the hardships of first starting up a company to eventually become one of the biggest companies in the world, and vastly increased the productivity of the delivery industry as a whole. Fred Smith is still involved with FedEx today, and is just as hands-on as he was at the beginning, recognizing the needs of efficient productivity and working hard to accomplish them.